The knock wasn't loud. Just three taps at midnight, the kind that tell you the person on other side already knows how quiet this house get at night. I stood there with my hand on the doorknob, listening for my daughters breathing down the hall. For a second, I honestly thought about pretending I hadn't heard it at all. Then a woman's voice came through the door and said in snaky, "Can I come in?" I opened the door just enough to see her.
The porch light split her face in half. It was my neighbor Mara, 43, usually calm, always put together. The kind of woman who says hello like nothing ever really gets to her. That night, though, her hair was a mess, her lips were pale, and her eyes looked like someone who had finally run out of places to go. "Are you sure you got the right door?" I asked without really thinking. "It's the right one," she said. "Please." Behind me, the house was dark, except for the small nightlight in my daughter's room. I felt that tight pull in my chest, the one that shows up right before a decision you can't take back. I should have asked questions right there on the porch. I didn't. I stepped aside. "Okay," I said. "Come in." She crossed the doorway with a rush of cold air and the smell of rain. She didn't cry. She just stood there, hands clenched, staring at the floor like it might tell her what to do next. "Sit," I said, and then I heard my daughter's door open. Her voice was sleepy but not confused. "Dad." Emma stood in the hallway in her socks. 11 years old, hair sticking up, eyes sharper than most adults I know. She noticed Mara immediately, looked at her, then at me, then back at her again. Mara straightened. "Hi," she said quietly. Emma didn't lower her voice. "Who is that?" My mouth went dry. I knew whatever I said next would either keep the night calm or blow it wide open. "A neighbor," I said. "She needed to ask me something about work. Just for a minute. Go back to bed." Emma frowned. At midnight, I forced a laugh. It sounded wrong even to me. "Yeah, bad timing. Go on." She hesitated. Then she turned back toward her room. Before closing the door, she looked over her shoulder, like she wanted to lock the image in her memory. The door clicked shut. I didn't relax. I'm 39. I work from home. Nothing exciting. I've been a single dad since Emma was a baby. Her mother left years ago, and the silence that followed taught me to hang on to routines harder than I probably should. I honestly believed nothing unexpected could slip into our lives after midnight. That belief ended the moment Mara stood in my living room. She let out a long breath. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know where else to go." "Why me?" I asked. She lifted her phone with a shaking hand. On the screen was a message preview, just enough to turn my stomach. "I'm coming for what I left. Don't make me do this the hard way." I looked up at her. "Your ex." She nodded. "My ex-husband. He disappeared when our daughter was 3 months old. 12 years ago. Now he's back." "He knows where you live?" I asked. She nodded again. "Just once." Her hand started to shake, not in a dramatic way, just like her body had given up pretending. "He says he's in town," she said. "He says he wants to take her, like she's something he forgot somewhere." I thought about Emma sleeping down the hall, about how much she trusts me to keep things normal. "Have you gone to the police?" I asked. "I have messages," Mara said. "That's it. And he knows how to sound reasonable. He knows how to make me look unstable." I believed her. I didn't even question it. And that realization scared me a little, because it meant I was already stepping into something I didn't understand. Mara finally looked at me. "I just need one night," she said. "Just one night where the walls don't feel so thin." I didn't stop to weigh it. "You can stay here," I said. "On the couch. I'll be close by." She shook her head. "I don't want to mess up your life." I gave a small shrug. "It's already complicated," I said. "But you're not going back alone tonight." I grabbed an extra blanket and handed it to her. Our hands didn't touch, but the space between us felt tight, like something was being pulled too far. She wrapped the blanket around herself and sat on the couch, staring at the dark window. When the house creaked, she flinched. I saw it. Something in me hardened toward a man I'd never met. I checked the locks. Then I checked them again. If he shows up, I said quietly, we call for help. No hero stuff. She nodded. Okay. And then a thought settled in that I didn't like at all. If I told him the truth, Mara would probably leave. And if Mara left and something happened, I'd never be able to live with that. So I stood there in my living room, watching over a woman I barely knew, already aware that I'd bet my daughter's trust protects someone else. Mara didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. We just stayed awake in the same room, listening to the quiet outside the walls, trying to figure out whether it was just silence or someone waiting. The first time I saw him, I didn't know who he was. I just noticed a man leaning against Mara's mailbox, looking straight at my house like he belonged there. That feeling hit my stomach immediately. Not because he looked dangerous, because he looked comfortable, like he'd already decided this street was his. I'm 39. I work from home. I've been raising my daughter, Emma, alone since she was a baby. I used to think problems stayed outside if you kept your door shut. That illusion ended the night Mara knocked. A week later, her pass was standing right outside my house. The morning after she stayed over, Mara sent a short text. Thank you. I'm okay. I'll explain soon. I should have let that be the end of it. Instead, I started watching the street more than my screen. A few days later, she asked if we could talk somewhere public. Not my place. Not hers. We met at a small cafe down the block. She wrapped both hands around her mug and didn't touch it. He keeps calling, she said. Different numbers. Voicemails. He never says a threat directly. She slid her phone toward me. The messages were polite on the surface. I want to see my daughter. I have rights. Don't make this ugly. Have you talked to a lawyer? I asked. I'm trying, she said, and I didn't need more detail to understand what that meant. This is where I made my second mistake. I kept him out of it. I kept calling it work. A meeting. A call. Something temporary. At first, Emma let it slide. Then she started noticing the patterns. An extra mug in the sink. My phone flipped face down. The way my voice changed when I said Mara's name. One evening, while I was cooking, Emma leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. So, she said, how's your midnight work thing going? My hands froze. It was one time. I said, sure, she replied. After that, she went quiet. Not angry. Just distant. Short answers. Polite. The kind of silence that makes you feel like you're already losing ground. Mara and I kept meeting anyway. 10 minutes here. A walk around the block. Public places where nothing could happen, and everything felt exposed at the same time. I told myself it was about safety. Cameras. People around. But the truth is, it felt good not to be invisible for once. Then, one Saturday afternoon, I took the trash out and saw him again. This time he was standing in Mara's driveway. He turned as soon as he heard the bin roll. Mid-40s, clean jacket, neat hair, a smile that stayed a little too long. You must be Jacob, he said. Hearing my name from him made my skin tighten. Who are you? I asked, even though I already knew. He raised his hand slightly, like he was calming a situation that didn't exist. I'm not here to cause trouble, he said. I just want to see my daughter. Mara's been emotional. He said emotional like it proved something. You left for 12 years, I said. You don't get to walk back and like you forgot your wallet. His smile didn't move. People change, he said. Courts care about stability. They care about fathers who show up. That word stuck. Courts. It wasn't a threat I could argue with. He glanced toward my house. You've got a kid too, right? He added, casually. My blood went cold. Don't talk about my daughter, I said. He nodded, as if I were being unreasonable. Relax. I'm just saying you understand what's at stake. Mara's front door opened behind him. When she saw us, the color drained from her face. What are you doing here? She snapped. He turned to her, calm, almost gentle, talking, like adults. Then his tone softened, the way it does when someone wants to sound reasonable. I can offer stability, Mara. Money. A clean solution. If you keep fighting this, people will start asking questions. He stepped closer, not touching her, just crowding the space. I don't want to hurt you, he said. I want to fix what you broke. I stepped between them. Back up, I said. He looked at me like I was an inconvenience. Careful, he said quietly. You'll make this personal. He placed a business card on top of my trash bin. A law firm. A number. Tell Mara to call, he said. We can do this the easy way. Then he walked off, still smiling. Mara stared at the card like it might bite her. He's going to file, she said. He's been planning this. He wants to make me look unfit. I want to say we'd handle it, but I had no idea what that even meant. All I knew was that my quiet, predictable life had just been put on a clock. That night, Emma watched me from the couch while I pretended to work. After a long silence, she asked very quietly, Dad, who was that man? I opened my mouth to lie again, and for the first time, I felt how dangerous my own voice had become. I knew I was in trouble the moment Emma held up my phone and said, Who's Mara, and why is she texting you, thank you for yesterday? Her voice wasn't loud. That was the scary part. It was calm, like a judge reading a verdict. I'm Jacob, 39, a work-from-home dad who spent years pretending I can keep my life stable just by keeping my head down. If you're listening to this, it's because I didn't keep it stable. I tried. I lied. And my kid was the one who paid the price first. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday, the kind of day that's supposed to be safe. Emma came home from school, tossed her backpack by the stairs, and wandered into the kitchen while I was stirring pasta. She didn't say much. She'd been like that lately. Polite, distant, watching me the way you watch a cracked ceiling. My phone buzzed on the counter. I grabbed it too fast. Emma noticed. Why are you hiding it? She asked. I'm not, I said, already lying again. Another buzz. I flipped the screen down. She reached over, faster than I expected, and turned it back. Mara's name lit up like a flare. Emma's eyes narrowed. So it's not worked. I swallowed. It's the neighbor. She's dealing with stuff. Emma gave a short, almost bitter laugh. Everybody's dealing with stuff, Dad. I tried to keep my tone steady. Go wash up. Dinner's almost ready. But she didn't move. She stepped closer, and I could see her hands shaking just a little. Are you bringing strangers into our house? She asked. No, I said. Then I heard how weak that sounded, even to me. She opened a cabinet and yanked out a mug. Our mug, the one she always used. Then whose lipstick was on this? She demanded. My stomach dropped. It wasn't lipstick, not really, just a faint stain from Mara's tea that morning. But Emma didn't know that. She just knew I'd been lying, and her brain filled in the worst. Emma, listen, I said, lowering my voice. Nothing bad happened here. Her eyes flashed. You always say that. You said that when Mom left, too. That sentence landed like a slap. I felt my throat tighten. That's not fair. I managed. Emma's voice cracked. What's fair about it? You keep acting like everything's fine, and then it isn't. She backed away, breathing hard, and then the words came out, sharp and raw. Mom didn't just leave you, Dad. She left me, and now you're doing it again, just slower. I stood there with pasta boiling over, my hands useless. I wanted to hug her. I also knew if I reached for her, she'd flinch. I'm still here, I said. I'm right here. She shook her head, physically, but you're somewhere else. That night, after Emma shut her door, I found a law firm car again, the one he'd set on my trash bin like a warning. My phone rang from an unknown number. I answered. Jacob, he said, calm, almost friendly. Tell Mara to stop making this ugly. Courts don't like chaos. I tried to keep my voice even. Don't call me. He paused and added, You're a good dad, right? Then you understand. People who fight lose time with their kids. The line went dead, and my hands were shaking. In the morning, Emma walked past me, backpack on, and said quietly, Mom left too, Dad. She just never came back. Then she went out the door without looking at me, and I stood there like the house had tilted. Not even a goodbye once. The next day, Mara met me behind a cafe. out by the dumpsters where nobody lingered. Her face was pale, eyes tired. He contacted a lawyer, she said. He says he can give our daughter stability. He keeps repeating money like it's love. She pressed her fingers to her temple. And he keeps bringing you up. He says you're a risk, that you'll drag me down. Anger rose in me, quick and hot. He doesn't know me. Mara looked away. He doesn't have to. He just has to sound believable. I told her about Emma. I didn't mean to, but it spilled out Emma's question, the mug, the fear in her voice. Mara's shoulders sagged. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted to touch your family. You didn't, I said. He did. For a second we just stood there, too close, both exhausted. Mara's eyes filled, but she didn't cry. I can't lose my daughter, she said. If he files, he'll twist everything. And I can't lose mine, I said before I could stop myself. That's when she stepped forward and kissed me. It wasn't sweet. It wasn't planned. It was two scared people grabbing for air. My hands stayed at my sides, like I didn't deserve to hold her. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet. This is exactly why I can't, she said. Her voice broke on the last word. You have a child who needs you. I'm bringing danger to your door. Mara, I started. She put a hand up, stopping me without touching me. Please, she said, don't make me choose between love and survival. Then she turned and walked away, leaving me with a taste of rain on my lips and the sudden, awful understanding that my lies hadn't protected anyone. They'd just delayed the damage. I found out she was gone in the dumbest way. Her porch light was off at 6 p.m., and Mara never let it go off. Not when her daughter was home. Not ever. I stood at my window holding a cold mug of coffee, telling myself it meant nothing, and still my chest felt hollow, like someone had quietly removed a piece of my house. I'm Jacob, 39, a work-from-home dad who thought he could keep life stable by being careful. If you're listening, it's because careful isn't the same as safe, and I learned that with my daughter watching me fall apart. After Mara walked away from me behind the cafe, she didn't text. Not the next day. Not the day after. I told myself she was doing the right thing, protecting her kid, stepping back from the mess I'd become. But the silence didn't feel noble. It felt like punishment. I should have felt relieved. I didn't once. Emma barely spoke to me, either. She moved through the house like a guest. Quiet, headphones on, bedroom door closed. If I asked how school was, she'd shrug. If I said goodnight, she'd answer without looking up. Every small sound in our home had an edge to it. On Thursday, a thick envelope showed up in Mara's mailbox. I noticed it because a man in a clean jacket slid it in and didn't glance around like a delivery guy. He placed it gently, like he was leaving flowers. Then he walked to Mara's door and rang the bell once, calm as a pastor. When nobody answered, he nodded to himself and left. 5 minutes later, Mara's ex, Evan, appeared at the end of the driveway on his phone, smiling like he'd already won a bet. I stayed behind my curtains, hating myself for it, but I wasn't sure what stepping outside would even solve. That night, I finally did what I should have done earlier. I told Emma, we need to talk. She sat at the kitchen table with her arms crossed, chin lifted. I told her Mara was scared of someone from her past, that a man was trying to get control through the courts, and that I'd been helping because it felt wrong not to. I left out the kiss. I left out how lonely I'd been. I kept it simple, like facts could fix feelings. Emma listened without interrupting. When I finished, she stared at the tabletop and said, "You're good at sounding calm, Dad. That doesn't make it true." She pushed her chair back, not leaving, just creating distance. "You keep saying you're fine," she added, "and then you act like you're afraid of your own phone." I tried to reach for her hand and stopped halfway, because I didn't know if she wanted it. "I'm trying to keep you safe," I said, and even as I said it, I heard how familiar it sounded, like a line I'd been hiding behind. The next morning, Mara's car was gone. The afternoon after that, her daughter's backpack wasn't on the porch like usual. I knocked once, then again, and I hated the sound of my own knuckles. No answer. I texted. Nothing. When I walked back to my yard, Evan was standing by the sidewalk as if he'd been waiting for me. She's doing the smart thing, he said. Temporary agreement. No drama. Kids need calm. I wanted to tell him to stop using the word calm like a weapon. Instead, I said, "Where are they?" He smiled a little wider. Somewhere safe. My hands curled into fists. I wanted to shove him, to shout, to do anything that would wipe that smile off his face. But I pictured Emma's face if a patrol car rolled up to our curb, and I swallowed it. Evan knew that, too. He kept his voice polite, like he was offering directions, and that was the worst part. He was turning my restraint into proof that he was the reasonable one. 2 days later, I heard voices in Mara's driveway. 2 girls, not loud, just intense. I didn't mean to listen, but their words carried. He says he loves us, Mara's daughter snapped. But love doesn't feel like a contract. Emma's voice answered, smaller but sharp. My dad thinks hiding stuff is protection. It's not. It's control, and it hurts. There was a pause. Then Mara's daughter said, "My mom's scared. He feeds on that." Emma said, "My dad's scared too. I can tell. But fear isn't the same as love." That evening, my doorbell rang before sunset. Mara stood there, hair pulled back, eyes tired but clear, her daughter just behind her shoulder. Emma appeared in the hallway like she'd been waiting for the sound. Mara swallowed. "I agreed to something temporary," she said, "just to buy time." Her voice shook, then steadied. "But my daughter talked to yours, and she asked me one question I couldn't ignore. If he's so safe, why do I feel trapped?" Mara looked at me. "Jacob, I don't know how to do this perfectly. I just know I can't do it scared." Emma stepped forward, still cautious, but present. "Dad," she said, "I don't want you to be a hero. I just want you to be honest." My throat burned. I nodded once, because it was all I could manage. Outside, down the street, a car door shut. I saw Evan's silhouette by his curb, watching our porch, and I realized the next move wouldn't be his. It would be mine. The hardest part wasn't facing Evan. It was facing my daughter with nothing left to hide. I'll never forget the way Emma looked at me that night, like she was tired of guessing who her dad really was. If you've ever watched your own kid lose trust in you, you know it doesn't happen in one big crash. It happens in small, quiet moments. And then one day you realize you're living in the wreckage. I'm Jacob, 39, single dad, work from home, routine driven. The kind of guy who used to think honesty meant not cheating, not telling the whole truth. This story matters because it wasn't a love story first. It was a trust story. And trust is harder to rebuild than anything else. After Mara came back to my porch with her daughter, we didn't do anything dramatic. No big speeches on the lawn. We went inside, sat at my kitchen table, and listened to the refrigerator hum like it was the only thing brave enough to make noise. Emma sat with her hands wrapped around a glass of water. She didn't drink. Mara's daughter, Lily, kept her eyes on the floor, like she was afraid looking up would start a fight. Mara took a breath. "Evan pushed for a temporary agreement," she said. "He called it stability. He wanted me to sign something that would make it easier for him to control where Lily lives, when he sees her, what he pays, what he doesn't." Emma's jaw tightened. "So why would you sign it?" Mara looked at her, not defensive, just honest. "Because I got scared," she said. "And when I'm scared, I start thinking quiet is the same as safe." That hit Emma. It hit me, too. I cleared my throat. "I have to say something," I told Emma, and my voice shook more than I wanted. "I lied to you. Not once. Over and over. I told you work, because it was easier than telling you I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want you to worry." Emma stared at me. "I worried anyway," she said. "I just had to do it alone." That line hurt worse than anything Evan could have said. I nodded. "You're right," I said, "and I'm sorry. I'm done with half-truths." I told her everything I could without dumping adult details on her. I told her Mara came to our door because she was scared. I told her Evan had been pressuring her. I told her I got pulled in because I couldn't stand the idea of someone being cornered in silence. Emma listened, eyes glossy but steady, like she was deciding whether to believe the man in front of her. When I finished, she let out a slow breath. "Okay," she said. "Just that. not forgiveness, not a hug. But it was the first time in weeks she didn't look like she wanted to leave the room. The next evening, Evan showed up right on schedule. Not yelling, not banging. He rang Mara's bell once, then stood back like a customer waiting for service. I watched from my porch, Emma behind me, holding the door frame with white knuckles. Mara stepped outside with Lily beside her. She didn't invite him in. She didn't give him the comfort of her home. Evan smiled like he'd expected applause. Mara, he said calm and pleasant, I brought the updated paperwork. This is a reasonable path. Mara didn't take it. I'm not signing anything without my lawyer, she said. Evan's smile tightened. You don't need to waste money on lawyers, he replied. I'm offering you security. I'm offering Lily security. Lily spoke before Mara could. Stop saying that, she snapped. You don't even know what security feels like. Evan blinked, like he wasn't used to kids talking back. He turned his eyes to me. And you, he said quietly, you're enjoying your little role here. My pulse kicked. I kept my voice even. This isn't a role. It's a boundary. Evan chuckled softly. Boundaries don't matter in court, he said. Evidence matters. Stability matters. Mara lifted her chin. Then here's evidence, she said and held up her phone. Voicemails. Messages. You pushing, you hinting, you circling. Always careful with your words. My lawyer already has them. Evan's expression changed the first time, just a flicker, not fear. More like irritation that the game wasn't going his way. You think you can erase 12 years, he asked. Mara's voice stayed steady. You can't erase 12 years, she said, but you also don't get to rewrite them. Evan's eyes narrowed. So you're choosing chaos, he said, like he was labeling her for a file. Mara shook her head. No, she said. I'm choosing the truth. He looked at Lily again, softer now, trying a different tactic. Sweetheart, I'm your father. Lily didn't move. Being my father doesn't mean you get to scare my mom, she said. Evan's jaw tightened. He took a slow step back, the polite mask returning. We'll let the court decide, he said, and walked to his car without another word. He drove off like a man who still believed money would win. But something important happened as his taillights disappeared. The air on the porch felt lighter, not because he was gone, but because his power was. Inside, Emma surprised me. She walked over to Mara and Lily and said, awkwardly, if he comes back, you can ring our doorbell. Not at midnight. Just whenever. Mara's eyes filled. Thank you, she whispered. Later that night, after Mara and Lily went home, Emma and I sat on the couch with the lights low. I didn't try to fill the silence. I just sat there, present. Finally, Emma leaned her head on my shoulder, small, careful, like she was testing the ground. You're not going to lie again? She asked. My throat tightened. I'm going to try really hard not to, I said. And if I mess up, I'll tell you. Right away. She nodded, and that was the closest thing forgiveness I deserved. A few days passed. No fireworks. No sudden perfect ending. Just normal life returning in pieces. Then one afternoon, I heard a knock on my door. Not frantic. Not midnight. Daylight. I opened it, and Mara stood there alone, hands in her pockets, hair loose from the wind. She looked tired, but she looked free in a way I hadn't seen before. I didn't say much. I just asked the only question that mattered. Are you sure? Mara nodded once. Yeah, she said. I'm sure. And for the first time in 14 years, I didn't feel guilty for wanting to be happy. I felt responsible. There's a difference.